Prime Minister, you've stressed that the fundamentals of TPP remain unchanged, but like what you mentioned, I mean, we're looking at the timeline with the possibility of a TPP without the US looming in the background. Wouldn't that affect the quality of the TPP, a trade agreement that was meant to set the bar?
Well, when I say the fundamentals remain unchanged, I mean the fundamental justification for the TPP is valid. We believed in it, and I think it is still valid. The TPP as an agreement has got rules as to when it comes into effect. When does it happen? And the rules say that within the first 2 years, it will come into effect when all 12 countries ratify. If beyond the first 2 years, if you haven't got 12 countries, if you have 85% of the GDP and 6 countries ratified, then it comes into effect. So in other words, there's an established definition as to when the TPP comes into effect. And I mean, it could still happen, but to happen, it requires the United States. So we'll have to see how that goes. To say a TPP without the US means it's a new agreement. That means the 12 minus 1 will have to get together and sign an agreement with a different coming into effect clause. And that's a fresh negotiation. It's not so easy to do because New Zealand is taking the present treaty through their parliament. Japan is taking the present treaty. They've cleared the lower house, they're going to the upper house of the Diet. So if you sign a fresh agreement, you have to go through again. So we haven't come to that bridge yet. We'll cross it if and when we come to that.
Did countries express concern about it during the TPP leaders meeting, and what were President Obama giving any reassurances in terms of the US?
Well, President Obama basically said the new president-elect comes in with his team. The team will have to study the options and will have to reach conclusions as to what they will do and what they will not do. And if you look at previous presidential elections, quite often positions are taken during the campaign, which after the team has won, you come into office and you reassess the position, and you may have to modify your position in the light of what you discovered, in the light of the test of reality and experience. And it's happened with every campaign, whether it's George Bush Sr., whether it's Clinton, whether it's George Bush Jr., or even Mr. Obama himself. So I fully expect that when the new administration comes in, they will have to review that position. But of course, this time the US campaign has been a lot harsher than previous ones in tone and the rhetoric. And so to make an adjustment is harder, but we'll have to wait and see.
If the US actually takes a more passive role when it comes to pushing for free trade, how will that affect the strategic balance in the Asia-Pacific region?
Well, we have always believed that the US engagement in the region is a plus, and is a plus not just because of the security aspects, but also because of the economic aspects as well, the investments as well as the trade. So if you don't have that, you lose something valuable. If in fact the US turns inwards and becomes protectionist and anti-free trade, that of course the loss is even greater. But whether that happens is speculation. We will have to see how events develop.
PM, Japan Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said that if the TPP doesn't go on with the momentum, it will die forever, and then there will be the spread of protectionism. He put it in very stark terms. Would you put it in the same way?
I think it would be a great loss if we don't have the TPP. It is a very important deal. It's strategically significant. It's economically very considerable. It covers 40% of the world's GDP. And it would make a lasting contribution to the stability and the prosperity of the region. So if we lose that, well, life goes on, but you've lost something precious and which would have been very worthwhile having. And you will one day try to make a different deal, but it will have to be a fresh deal under new conditions, and it will not be easier to negotiate. Because to reach a deal like this, the TPP itself has taken, 6 years of negotiation, 8 years since we started, and then 6 since the US came on board. And very hard work, enormous amount of effort, argy-bargy, compromise, deals worked out, finally you have a package, a form of a document several thousand pages long. And it's valid, we should sign it. If we don't sign it, time passes, new events develop, new technology, new markets, new economic trends. It becomes harder to sign the agreement, and you have to negotiate a new one then. And that's not so easy.